Good morning, everyone. Sustainable San Mateo County is excited to unveil our expanded sustainability dashboard. We've designed new downloadable city-focused sustainability reports to support city leaders, nonprofits, and community members in your day-to-day sustainability work. We received a lot of input from these stakeholders throughout the design and development process, and we look forward to seeing how the dashboard data and reporting supports and enhances your work. I'm Sarah Hubbard, Executive Director of Sustainable San Mateo County, and I'd like to welcome and thank everyone for being here today. I know many of you are aware of SSMC's work, but before we get into today's presentation and discussion, I'll share a quick overview for those of you who may be less familiar. So SSMC is a nonprofit driven by a powerful vision, a sustainable future for everyone in San Mateo County. For more than 30 years, our mission has been to stimulate action to make San Mateo County more sustainable on economic, environmental, and social equity issues through empowering information and advocacy. These 3 E's, the environment, economy, and social equity, encompass a wide range of topics like climate change and greenhouse gas emission reduction, land use, water and air quality, affordable housing, transportation, food security, childcare, and more. So we inform, inspire, and empower local communities across these topics through our core programs. Our first core program, today's focus, is the multiple years of data we provide in our sustainability dashboard, enabling communities to identify both challenges and progress across more than 100 sustainability metrics. Next, our Ideas Bank offers more than 90 proven solutions to address local sustainability challenges. And each year, we research and publish an indicators report that combines both metrics and solutions related to a single focus subject and provides recommendations for action. Recent report topics include the climate impact of food in 2025, equitable EV charging infrastructure in 2024, the well-being of children, youth, and families in 2023, and in 2022, building electrification. This year, our 2026 report will be on improving the urban tree canopy. Additionally, our Sustainability and Green Building Awards are one way we acknowledge progress and inspire further action. And finally, all of these programs are supported by meetings, webinars, roundtable discussions, newsletters, and a host of other communications that really foster community collaboration and impact. So this morning, we'll first get an overview of the expanded dashboard from our program manager, Simona Vallone. Next, Simona will share a couple of examples for how the dashboard can be used to accelerate different sustainability projects and goals. And after that, we'll hear from 2 guest speakers who will share how they leverage data and the sustainability dashboard specifically in their community work. And then finally, we'll end with time for your questions and a few quick announcements about upcoming events. We're recording this webinar, and we'll send a link of the recording to registrants after this meeting. So please feel free to share it with others that might find this useful. So, as I mentioned, quite a bit of work has gone into this expanded dashboard. About 9 months worth of stakeholder interviews, interface design, data collection to ensure that the new reports would best support those working to make our county more sustainable and equitable for everyone. I just want to thank our funders, the County of San Mateo through Measure K funding and a generous Gilead Foundation community grant. It's through their support that SSMC has produced this expanded tool that's here to help leaders and community members track their progress and identify hyper-local vulnerabilities to support those most in need in our communities. And we're really grateful for their partnership. Now, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Simona Vallone, SSMC's program manager. Simona is a sustainability scientist with a background in food and agricultural science. She has research and management experience in both academia and technology startups in the Bay Area. She has extensive experience in project management and producing content for multiple audiences. For nearly 3 years, she has spearheaded SSMC's Ideas Bank content development, indicators report research and publication, and our dashboard data management and visualizations. I am excited to have her demonstrate our latest project. Simona, take it away.
Thank you, Sarah. And thanks to everyone for making time today to be here with us. What we are showing you today is the SSMC Sustainability Dashboard and its expanded feature. The dashboard is a one-stop tool for tracking, exploring, and comparing sustainability across 21 jurisdictions in San Mateo County. The data behind the dashboard is publicly available, published by national, state, and local agencies. Since data lives in a lot of different places and in different formats, we brought it together in the dashboard to make it more accessible for everyone. In the dashboard, you'll find more than 100 metrics covering demographic, housing, climate, economic security, and more. For each metric, you can see data for all 20 cities and towns and the unincorporated San Mateo County. Most metrics go down to the census tract level, so you can see differences within a jurisdiction. And nearly all metrics cover multiple years, so one can observe changes over time. We select the metrics to be included based on specific criteria. To be included in the dashboard, the data has to be available for all 21 jurisdictions, cover multiple years, be comparable across time and across places, and come from a reliable source, and the data needs to be updated by the source on a regular schedule, which allows us to update the dashboard on a regular cycle. The over 100 metrics can be accessed in 2 different ways, depending on the question one is asking. One could start with a specific metric or with a place, like a city or a town. If you select View by Metric, you then will be able to select a specific metric evaluated across the whole county using a map or a chart showing how it changed over time. You'll have also the option to look at the census tract. We'll look at it in a few minutes during the live demo. When you select View by Location, you can then pick a city or a town or the unincorporated county, and you see all the data for that one jurisdiction in a single view. From there, you can download the sustainability report, which is a complete snapshot that you can study in depth, share with colleagues, bring it to a council meeting, or send it to a community partner. Same data, 2 ways to look at it. Here are some of the key users we had in mind as we built the dashboard. To government electeds and staff, the dashboard offers a quick overview of where a jurisdiction stands, a way to track progress across categories over time, and a view of where a community is most vulnerable. For nonprofit advocacy groups and neighborhood associations, the dashboard shows how conditions differ across neighborhoods and brings reliable local data into organizing and conversation with local governments. Another category of users are grant writers. This includes staff writing on behalf of a jurisdiction and a community organization applying for their own funding. Either way, the dashboard provides current citable figures to support a targeted funding ask. Now I'll walk you through the dashboard, and then we'll go look at 2 examples on how this can help the work that you're already doing. So I'm gonna show you the dashboard that you can find on our website. This is what it will look like. Once you arrive there, you can notice on the upper left corner, there is a tutorial that you can use to learn more about its feature. Next to it, there are 2 paths to access to the data, View by Metric and View by Location. We'll start with View by Metric, which take us to the path that maybe some of you are already familiar with. Here, you can explore all the metrics that are available. They are grouped based by topic. Here in the drop-down, you can see all the topics available, and so you can select one to narrow down your search. So as we mentioned, there are data that under climate action, adaptation, energy, housing, transportation, and so on. Once you select a topic, you can select a metric, and when you do that, you will see on the map the metric is shown for each city and town, and you can see the figures for each city by mousing over the map, and as you go over each of the city, you will notice you can notice next to the cursor a little box that shows the name of the city and the figure. In this case, we're looking at daily vehicle miles traveled per commuter, and the cities are color-coded based on different dark shades of blue, with darker blue showing higher numbers. As I move over the map, you can notice on the right side also the trend lines changing, and in dark is show in black it's shown the line that corresponds to the city that I'm over. In this case, I'm looking at Redwood City, and you can also compare the trend line, like the historical trend, to the average of the entire county, which is shown in red on the same chart. You can also compare cities and trend lines of cities by clicking on the cities that you want to compare, and so their corresponding historical trends are showing in yellow and on the chart. You can change the geographic scale, and so you can access to the census tract and also the unincorporated place data. And you can also modify the year and that is shown in the map. So if you want to show the data for a different year, you can select it here, and you will visualize it in the map. And here in this yellow box, you'll find a brief explanation of the metric, and most importantly is the source of the data. So here you can always find the source of the data that's included in the dashboard. You can download the original data behind it, clicking download here on the bottom right. You can download the data as a CSV file. You can also download the image or share the link of your search. Let's look at the other view right now. By clicking on view by location, you access on this new feature, the expanded part of the expanded dashboard, which is the sustainability report. Here you will see a complete profile of a single jurisdiction. You can pick a jurisdiction from the drop down and select. You'll find here all the 21 jurisdiction, and once you select a city or a town or the unincorporated county, San Mateo County, you'll find here on the right side a live preview of the sustainability report for that place. And this report includes two types of sheets. The first 5, which we call location overview, are organized by topic. So you'll find here on the bottom, you'll see the preview of the title, and you can also access to the content by clicking on it. So you'll notice that we have the metric organized by demographic, housing, economic security, climate change mitigation. Each sheet contains an executive summary, which reports like a key finding and reports the data that's included in the sheet. And then the data is organized in tables, and each table includes a subset of the metrics. The first row will always include the jurisdiction, and now you have some benchmark values of the entire county. So you can compare your jurisdiction to the average or the minimum maximum value within the county. And for many metrics, you can also find charts that show changes over time. The last two sheets are what we call equity insights, because these sheets go really down into to the census tract level. Right now, we have tree canopy in context and community vulnerability. This show how condition varies between neighborhoods within a jurisdiction. Again, you'll find an executive summary at the top, and then a series of tables, which will include in each row, you'll find a specific census tract. We also included a simplified label that you can use to find the tract on the map here, in each table, the metrics will be anchored, in this case, for the community vulnerability, to the household income less than 50% of the area median income. So in the first table, you'll find the metrics that are grouped under population. Then there is other metrics that describe the household income, environmental risk, and so on. And you'll notice that the cells are color coded. In each column, the orange cells show the minimum values. So the census tract that has the lowest value, and the light blue will show the value, or the tract that has the highest value. And then you can download the report, and you can download it as an Excel file, which is totally editable. You can keep the file, modify it, and share it. And with that, I think that's all for the tour. Now let's look at a couple of examples that can show you how this tool can help you with the work that you are already doing. Just as a reminder, you can review all this using the tutorial and also the promo, the video that we are putting in the chat right now. So here is an example of what sustainability report makes possible. At some point, every jurisdiction has to account for its climate progress, whether for a commission, a council study session, a grant report. So the recurring problem is the assembly of the data. Someone has to gather figures from several sources before anyone can have a conversation. Greenhouse gas inventory is expensive and slow to produce, so it arrives every few years. The years in between formal assessments are when a jurisdiction might still need a current read on where things stand. To make this case concrete, think of a climate action plan, the document where a jurisdiction sets out climate objectives and actions required to achieve them. To illustrate with a practical example, I chose San Mateo County's 2022 Climate Action Plan, which clearly lists its goal and actions to achieve them. Here are a few goals listed in the county cap, just a few of them, for example. The sustainability report offers several metrics that speak to these goals. They are not the specific indicators that the plan itself uses, but they show whether the condition those goals describe are moving or not. To see them, you would open the report for that jurisdiction, go to the climate change mitigation sheet, and that will give you the relevant figures in one place with the county benchmark alongside them for context, and where available, the trends over time. To check for the first goal that we're using here in the example, converting existing building to all electric, You will look at the share of housing units that use electric heating, and also possibly to the breakdown between renter-occupied and owner-occupied units. For each sheet, the sheet will give you the county average, so you can see where your jurisdiction sits. The electrification policy in the county climate action plan specifically calls for ensuring equitable access to incentives and protecting renters. The sustainability report cannot show you where incentives are reaching, whether incentives are reaching people, but by the split between renter-occupied and owner-occupied units that are using electricity for heating can show whether electrification is reaching renters. The second goal, reducing building energy consumption. For this goal, the sustainability report shows residential gas and electricity consumption, both as totals and per capita. For a third goal, increasing adoption of electric vehicles, the report gives two figures: the zero emission vehicles per 100 residents and the number of public charging stations. And lastly, for our last goal using this example, reducing vehicle use, the report gives you four figures that approach it from a different angle: daily vehicle miles traveled per commuter, average commute time, percentage of commuters driving alone or those taking public transit and other mode. It's worth saying that these metrics cover commuting, and commuting is only part of the total vehicle travel, so they're a partial view of a community-wide goal. But mode share is where a plan's transit and active transportation investment will begin to appear if those investments are working, which makes it worth watching over time. Here's a second example and a different type of need. Expanded tree canopy is becoming a priority as cities invest in climate adaptation, but a citywide canopy target has a gap in it. A citywide average doesn't reveal which neighborhoods are furthest behind. Historic disinvestment in urban infrastructure, like including trees, has left entire neighborhoods significantly less green and less shaded, and their residents more exposed to heat waves that are becoming more frequent and lasting longer. Expanding canopy in those neighborhoods so that share is more equitably distributed across the city is a way to build a community resilience. Doing that starts with being able to identify where canopy gaps and community vulnerability overlap. This is not an hypothetical goal. South San Francisco 2024 General Plan sets a citywide target of about 23% canopy coverage by 2040. And it's very specific about how the target should be met. Every neighborhood needs to reach it, not just the city average. And the implementation in disadvantaged neighborhoods is prioritized. So if other cities set a similar equity-focused goal for tree canopy expansion, it would need to be able to name those higher priority needs neighborhood. So that's where the equity insights sheets of the sustainability report can help. For every jurisdiction in that in the county, it shows canopy across all census tracts, identifying where coverage is lowest, and reports what else is true for those places. For example, the share of residents most vulnerable to high summer temperature, such as older adults or younger children, or the low-income households who might not be able to afford air conditioning. The sustainability report quickly helps identifying tracts with the lowest or very low canopy, where also other conditions qualify them for priority intervention. Whilst the city of South San Francisco is already actively working towards equitably expanding its canopy, I will use South San Francisco Sustainability Report to show how the report could be helpful in reaching that goal. So the report helps us quickly identifying three tracts with the highest priority. The first is a census tract with the least shade and is also the place with the highest population density, the most young children, and the mostly renter-occupied housing units, which means fewer households in a position to plant a tree on their own property. The second tract has a very low canopy and the highest share of residents walking to work, the most units in multifamily building where planting is often not a resident's decision to make. The third is a tract with very little shade, and it is also the one where the most residents travel through it exposed on a bike or waiting for a bus, and where the most households are raising children on a single income. So a first look at the report already points to a few tracts where canopy is lowest and the need is highest. The reports give you documented starting point. What it cannot give you is the knowledge that lives in the neighborhoods themselves, which brings me to our guest speakers who will talk about how they're leveraging data and the sustainability dashboard to increase the impact of their work. Our first speaker is Amelia Stonkus from Rise South City. As it happens, Rise is South San Francisco key partner on tree planting project I just mentioned, which has been running for a few years now. But today, Amelia is going to talk about how Rise is using data, including the sustainability dashboard, to increase impact of their work. Amelia is the air quality coordinator at Rise South City, where she leads community-driven air quality monitoring initiative in South San Francisco and San Bruno. Since joining the organization in 2024, she has managed stationary and mobile monitoring networks, analyzed air quality data, and worked closely with residents to ensure community priorities shape environmental research and decision-making. Amelia holds dual degrees in biology sciences, environmental earth and soil sciences from Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. Her work combines environmental science, data analysis, and community engagement to advance environmental justice and improve public health outcomes. Welcome, Amelia. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Simona, and thank you for the introduction. My name is Amelia, and I'm the Air Quality Coordinator at Rise South City, and today I'm going to share a little bit about how we at Rise use data and where the new Sustainability Dashboard helps to support some of our programmatic and funding needs. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Rise South City, for short, we call it RISE, and it's a community-based organization focused on community and climate resilience, environmental justice, and social equity. And we work with frontline communities that often face environmental burden, higher environmental burden. We also work with CBOs, academic research partners, and other local municipalities to build long-term climate resilience in cities in northern San Mateo County. So we run our climate resilience work through several programs that are listed here on the slide. Currently, some of our main programs include our community air monitoring project in South San Francisco and San Bruno. We also have an urban tree canopy project with the city of South San Francisco. We've also just started our Coleman Creek Collective in partnership with San Bruno Mountain Watch, which is a restoration initiative with a watershed stewardship training program component. We have a climate change community team, which is a team of community members that meet every month to learn about local sustainability initiatives and work on resilience projects. We also have a Promotores program, which is a team of outreach workers and trusted community members. And then lastly, we host field trips to San Mateo County parks to increase equitable access to green space. Next slide, please. So our focus area at RISE is primarily in northern San Mateo County. So this map highlights this polygon highlights the area that we work in, and the cities included in that area are South San Francisco, San Bruno, Daly City, and Colma. So how does Rise South City use data? We are constantly gathering and using data on a day-to-day basis. Especially when we're applying to opportunities. We recognize that grant funders want some sort of evidence of need. So having really clear and reliable data lets us move beyond solely anecdotal evidence into something a bit more quantifiable. So one of the first ways that we're using data is through tracking and prioritizing tree plantings for our urban tree canopy project. One way that we did this is that we overlaid demographic data with the city's tree priority planting map, which this map was originally based only on historical canopy coverage. It didn't take into account any demographic or equity related data. So by overlaying the demographic data, we were able to better identify high need planting areas. And this allowed us to prioritize communities that were both under-canopied and underserved. Another way that we use data is through community surveys. This is a data source that we lean on heavily. We've used community surveys to gather data on air quality perception, as well as health outcomes. So pulling demographic and census level data to use alongside our community survey data has been very helpful. Another method of data use is through EJ scoring criteria, which I'm sure many CBOs and agencies that are here at this webinar today are very familiar with. Many state funding streams score applications on documented disproportionate environmental burden. So when we pull our own demographic data and compare it against other San Mateo County cities, it can help to paint a more accurate regional picture of need. And then lastly, one of our primary programs is our community-led air quality project in South San Francisco and San Bruno. For the past couple of years, we've partnered with Stanford data science students to develop an app that shows real-time PM 2.5 data, which is a common air pollutant on a hyperlocal level. So alongside our own air quality dashboard, this app helps us to understand trends in air quality over space and time. So what are some ways that RISE is using and plans to use this new expanded dashboard? So the new expanded dashboard helps us to identify disparities on a local level. So for example, with tree canopy, which is something that Simona talked about in her dashboard walkthrough with the case 2 study, but with tree canopy, it helps us to know where there's a need to plant more trees. So for example, the West downtown neighborhood of South San Francisco, which on this map here is track J, records the lowest tree canopy, the highest population density, and the highest percentage of households being rental units. So these factors combined make this neighborhood a really high priority neighborhood for planting. So when we combine these data sets, it helps to give us a better understanding of where to focus our tree planting efforts, as well as where to focus and highlight need for funders when we're writing grant applications. The expanded dashboard also plays a pretty big role in our air quality work. We at RISE are increasingly using correlation analysis. So having access to data allows us to compare PM 2.5 levels against asthma ER visit rates, and this can potentially inform the link between air quality and health outcomes. Looking ahead, RISE really wants to integrate more demographic layers that we can source from the expanded dashboard directly into the RISE South City Air Quality app and dashboard. We're particularly interested in integrating some social vulnerability data at the census tract level. So what advice do we have for other nonprofits and government agencies looking to use the dashboard? I think ultimately all of this data does a great job to tell a story. When you have a combination of hard data and lived experience, it can really play a role in moving funders and decision makers. You're able to compare your city or focus area against county averages to peer cities in San Mateo County, and this can help highlight where the need is greatest. There's also the feature that the dashboard lets you explore data over time. So you can potentially show funders that a problem is a chronic issue and something that's not short-lived. I think for me, one of the best uses of the dashboard is that it puts all of the metrics into one place instead of having to build our own data set from scratch, which we've definitely done in the past. So I think that this tool is really helpful because your organization can spend more time on program work and building community relationships and less time hunting for data across the dozen different sources. So with that, I will give a big thank you to SSMC for updating and expanding this dashboard. We at RISE are excited to keep using it, and I'd encourage anyone on this call to explore it yourselves if you haven't already and see how it might supplement the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. Thank you so much. And we're very happy that our dashboard is helpful. And next, we'll hear from Cleary, the Chief Executive Officer of Peninsula Family Service. San Mateo resident and a Bay Area native, Ether joined Peninsula Family Service in 2010 as Chief Financial Officer and became Chief Executive Officer in 2016. She received her degree in business administration from California, Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, and earned a master in public administration from San Francisco State University. As CEO, she has focused on community partnership to support Peninsula Family Services program and advocacy for increased wages for early learning teachers. And she continues to ensure strong financial and risk management. And she focuses on measuring and improving outcomes for all program participants. Heather, thank you for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Simona and Sustainable San Mateo County. Really grateful to be here and grateful for this dashboard because it makes my life and my team's life easier. So a little bit about Peninsula Family Service. Our mission is to provide tools and support to children, families, and older adults. And we serve all communities in San Mateo County. So we are really trying to reach out to everybody, especially some of the families and older adults that don't tend to reach out for services, some of the harder to serve families. And one of the hallmarks of our 76 years in business in San Mateo is that we adapt to community needs. We are always looking at our community and making sure our programs are relevant, that we are meeting the needs, that we are anticipating future needs. And this dashboard is one of the tools that we use to help us do that. In addition, Peninsula Family Service is a growing organization. We've recently added new child development centers. We've got now 10 in San Mateo County throughout, serving infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and school age. And there is a lot on our dashboard about our children, our parents, our access, or the number of childcare centers we have, which you can then infer the numbers that we don't have, looking at all the cities across the board. And, with this dashboard, we're providing trusted data that informs our decision-making and all these great metrics. So not only is it a resource for myself and my team and our grant manager, but I often refer the PFS board to the Sustainable San Mateo County dashboards, because they do like to get their hands a little bit wet in data, right? And there is so much here and so much that is relevant to PFS and our service areas. It's just some specifics. Our fastest growing population in San Mateo County are older adults, right? And there is very little funding for older adults. Not only in this county, but really throughout the nation. It is a tough sell to our funders, but this gives us some more information about where our older adults are, so funders can really see the trajectory of what our community is going to need in the future. In addition, school-age children and young children are valuable metrics as we look to add new centers to our programming, and really looking at our mix of childcare as well, with our family-based childcare and our center-based childcare. This community supports parent choice, but you need to really understand what services are where, so you can meet the needs of young families and ideally reduce some of their traffic, right? Reduce the number of drop-offs any family has. And some of that is a lot of city and nonprofit planning. So very grateful that this is here. But my favorite thing that Sustainable San Mateo County has done is that when they were looking to expand their dashboards, they asked around to make sure that they are meeting the needs of all of us. And one of the things that we were doing and still are doing at the time is looking at youth pathways to workforce for non-college bound teens. And guess what one of the new metrics is? Youth not college bound throughout the county. And when you pull up that metric, you can really see that there are some communities you want to prioritize for that work. And that is such great information for us as we move forward with our programs to do more to serve this community by providing tools and support. So I encourage all of you to schedule and put it on your calendars, 30 minutes to review the dashboard, because it takes that long. You want to make sure you download some report because there's so much great data that you can have access to. And I am just grateful for all of you to being here today, and for all of you at Sustainable San Mateo County for creating this dashboard and making our lives easier.
Okay, thank you, Heather, and thank you, Amelia. That was fantastic. Great to hear about your experiences in your organizations and how this dashboard can really support your work. Simona, thank you so much for the overview and the use cases. I work with this data every day, and yet every time Simona speaks, I learn something new. So this has been great. We are going to turn now to our Q&A. So I'm Molly Carter. I work with SSMC. I am our outreach and communications lead. And this is the point in the program where we turn it over to our audience. If you have any questions for Simona, the rest of the staff, Amelia, or Heather, please raise your hand and we will call on you. If you can also use the chat, if there are questions you have, you can enter those into the chat. And yeah, I just, there was so much great information there from all of you. I really appreciate, especially Amelia, when you were talking about combining the data with data that you already have, whether that's in the air quality app or through your community surveys and the lived experience. And Heather, really appreciate hearing all of your examples, especially giving it to the board. I think that is a great tip. The other thing I wanted to mention is the data is updated regularly when we receive new data from the third-party sources. So of course you don't have to go out and find the new data. It will all be brought into the dashboard. So, as Heather said, I think, making it a habit to visit the dashboard, on a somewhat regular basis, then, you'll be able to see that updated data. Okay, so are there any questions? Let's see. And I thought somebody had their hand up, but maybe that went away. Let's see. Larry, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, Molly, Larry Staley here in Foster City. It's actually a two-part, I guess, one big, huge question, but let me try to frame it. And it gets the question of doing what if simulation analysis. And I thought an example was In our city a few years ago, we had a horrible problem with congestion of commuters going on to Highway 92 at commute time. We actually had to close the left lanes in both Edgewater and Shell to stop that. And sure, the people going to East Bay probably very upset about that, but our city had to get it under control. So likelihood it did obviously result in less congestion and all the other measures we have from that. And then I started thinking, well, doesn't this get into what I would like us to use with a dashboard would be a what if for policymakers? So I could have gone in and instituted this policy and said in 1 or 2 years after this, what impact is it going to have on the numbers at that time? So can anybody, Simona, somebody sort of handle that little real life thing I gave in the context of what if?
Yeah, Simona, you want to address that? I know it's something that's come up before.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. We are at this stage focusing on the data that's available and the historical data that we try to provide to give an overview of what's the progress that's being made or lack of. And we not currently including any prediction or modeling at this time, which we cover and could help. I mean, with the question that you are investigating. So yeah, we're not focusing on that right now.
Yeah, but thank you for the feedback, Larry. That's
but maybe in the future then, huh? Future.
We should definitely consider it.
Deirdre, I see your hand is up. Do you have a question?
Deirdre, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Pardon my ignorance. So this is the first time that I'm looking at this, and I was just curious from a data point aspect. I see much of the data is coming from the census, but on the entry point side, is there the sustainability report? Is that coming? Like, is the city sustainability departments, are they participating on the entry side of that?
So one of the ways that the county is supporting us with the data they collect is the emission inventory, which comes directly from the RICAP's initiative, and we receive it from the county when it becomes available. Other than that, we, as you notice, we incorporate a lot of the census data. We also do some of our gathering from the city's website or some of the, like for example, we track who has a climate action plan and when it gets updated. So this kind of data collection is done internally. From what's available, publicly available information on official websites.
Okay, so there's not like, I'm here from City of Pacifica, so selfishly I'll talk about Pacifica. There's not like our sustainability team goes in and says, okay, this is the information that we've gathered based on our tree canopy. No, it's based on what is publicly available out there. There's no coordination on that side yet.
No, there is not, and because I mean one of the main reason is that in order to be comparable, so to show the data on a map, the source of the data should be the same. So we are limiting at the moment the gathering of the data that it's available for all the 21 jurisdiction. But we're aware, and I'm sure there is tons of data that it's available at the city level that would be very valuable to show, and we might consider for a future iteration. Yeah.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted to stump you, but also I'm super interested in speaking with you, Amelia, just kind of about canopy stuff, because we're working on our canopy goals too. So that's just an aside. And thank you so much. This is really awesome. And I appreciate all the work, and I appreciate everybody who's donated their time to this too. Sandy.
Thank you, Deirdre. That's great. Mayor Holland, I see your hands up. Welcome.
Hi. I just had a quick question. This dashboard's amazing, and it's a great tool for cities. But I also am serving on the Sustainability Task Force for the Menlo Park City School District, and it's been really interesting seeing they have no access to data. They're trying to build their first climate action plan. They're looking at building a dashboard. Because most of their resources are going through the County Office of Education and they're more education focused. I'm wondering if you guys have had any discussions or outreach of how to break down this data and make it available for the public schools in our area so that they can start using this to build their own climate action plans and dashboards and stuff like that.
Simona, you want
I can mention that the data right now that we include is the city level and also at the census tract level. Cities, schools, and so school districts have different, so like they can cross boundaries and they might have the data, at least a lot of it is not available within those boundaries or across boundaries. So I mean, it's not readily available. It requires some manipulation, a lot of work on visualizing it properly. And we currently have not gone that direction. Although we heard that is something that it's of interest, yeah, but we haven't invested in that yet.
Yes.
Yeah, it's helpful to hear that is a need. We have worked with the office, the County Office of Education, and have heard that as well. We've also heard from other agencies that do work not on a city basis, but their lines cross cities. So it's definitely on our radar. It just, as Simona shared, it's going to take a fair amount of data manipulation, but great to hear that the need is there.
Yeah, and I mean, the schools just don't have the resources to do that data manipulation or even have I don't know that they even have someone on staff who could do data manipulation like that. So you guys could be an amazing resource for the county and helping all the school districts kind of take that next step. So hopefully for your next iteration, you guys will have some tools for them.
Great. Thank you for that. I did see a question come in on the chat for Amelia asking about kind of the gaps that the Cal Enviro screen, especially the 5.0 version that just came out, how you use the dashboard or other data that you use to kind of fill in those gaps or support what may not be available in the Enviro screen.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Alex. So Cal Enviro Screen is a great tool, I think, for us in understanding what we primarily are looking at the pollution burden score associated with Cal Enviro Screen. So that score, the higher it is, indicates that census tract experiences a higher levels of pollution compared to averages in the state of California. When we are using Cal Enviro Screen, we are not necessarily using it to quantify pollution in these census tracts. We're looking at it to understand that there is a larger burden because of demographic factors in these census tracts. So that's a good tool to identify kind of where we should be looking to deploy our air monitors. In addition to community input, which often aligns with the Cal Enviro Screen pollution burden scores, we kind of use it as like a first base to deploy our air monitors. And then from there, we have deployed a lot of our air monitors in the census tracts with higher pollution burden scores. And we collect what we call hyperlocal data. So that's not just like a citywide average on QI or PM 2.5. It is block by block data collection so that we can understand how air pollution varies on a very hyper-local level. So I'd say, yeah, the sustainability dashboard is helpful in understanding some of the demographic data that goes into the scores from Cal Enviroscreen. And that kind of paints a picture for us on how we can administer some of our programmatic efforts.
Great, thanks, Amelia. And that Cal Enviro 5.0 screen will be updated in the dashboard fairly soon, and we will let you all know when that's available. I see one more question came in the chat. We're going to need to make this our last question to respect all of your time and end at the top of the hour. So Simona, if I could ask you to address Terry's question, and then I will wrap things up for us.
The question,
sorry, and her question was, can you give examples of other equity issues that the dashboard can illustrate? So I think we've talked a lot about tree canopy. Are there other equity issues that the dashboard with?
Definitely, there is the possibility to identify the census tract with the higher needs of, for example, the highest number of renters, and as I mentioned, which can be also, and also we also include, like, for example, EV charging infrastructure. So that's something that, as we covered also in our indicators report a couple of years ago, to make it charging more equitable, it's a needed. We need to, as a community, to invest more in including charging infrastructure in multifamily in housing units that are occupied by renters. So, for example, the dashboard can be helpful to identifying those neighborhoods where the need is highest, because again, the data that I mentioned is available at that level. Last year, we looked also at the issues with the organic waste management to reduce emission from it, and the multifamily again came out to be an area that is really hard to tackle, like to identifying the methods to that work to dispose organic waste, and oftentimes it can happen that also overlaps with areas where there is also higher higher need. So that also a way to look at all the jurisdiction more in depth, and to really make sure that the programs can be accessible for everyone, and apply to all the residents.
Great. Those are great examples. And yeah, I think as Sarah kicked us off with at the beginning of the session, when talking about all the areas that we pay attention to that are in the dashboard, everything from affordable housing to childcare, which Heather mentioned, to transportation. I mean, it's all in there in the dashboard. So I think all of those are equity issues that can be addressed. I'm going to bring up my slides, and while I do, I did just want to get to Larry's last question here. Simona, again, if you could talk to, his question was about what neighboring Bay Area counties have done as far as creating their dashboards, and did we use any of them as supporting templates for developing our dashboard, or if we know sort of what the state of dashboards is in the surrounding communities.
We are not currently using. I'm not aware of a dashboard that includes so many metrics and covers so many topics as our own. There are some initiatives, but they're a little bit narrower in scope.
Great. Good. Okay. And there is a note in the chat about if you do have questions as you get into the dashboard, you may have more questions as you start to use the data. You can reach us at dashboard@sustainablesanmateo.org, or when you go to the dashboard page on our website, there is a link in the FAQs at the bottom of the page. There's a form that you can fill out if you have questions. But thank you again for being here, for our guest speakers. I did just want to wrap up. We have a couple events coming up that you might be interested in. First, you are all invited to join us next month at our Sustainability Gala and Auction. This is really, it's even more than a celebration. It's how we build cross-sector momentum and resources to turn high-level sustainability goals into local action. It's about bringing us all together. We're going to have a great talk by the Dean of the Stanford Dorr School of Sustainability, talking about how San Mateo County can really lead the way during this time of, very transformative shifts. So there is a URL there and a QR code if you would like to join us then on September 23rd. And then 3 more opportunities. First, encourage the youth to apply for SSMC's Youth Advisory Council. We're starting off the cohort for this school year. Applications are due September 14th, and the youth who join, it's a really unique opportunity. They get involved in sustainability projects, they learn about policy making, and they really work to amplify youth voices in local decision making. Second, join us for this year's launch of the Indicators Report. So Sarah mentioned that at the beginning. The report will be focused on protecting and expanding our urban tree canopy in communities that are most vulnerable to impacts of climate change. It's going to be in Redwood City, and it's always a popular event. It'll be the morning of Friday, October 23rd, so we'd love to see you there. And finally, it's hard to believe, but we are about to open nominations for our 2027 Sustainability Awards. So those will open in early September. The winners are well recognized and celebrated. And so if you know people who are doing, pioneering, innovative, inspiring work in sustainability, definitely nominate them so that we can recognize them. Okay. And finally, if you want to stay up to date on all of these types of events and more that will be coming up, sign up for our newsletter. We don't spam you, at least we try not to, and we try to provide very valuable, relevant information. Twice a month, you'll get a newsletter. And so we'd love to see you be part of that community. And finally, thank you. Thank you to our speakers for offering their time and wisdom, and to all of you for being here and for caring for our local communities and our planet. We can only do this work when we all come together. So have a great rest of your day and rest of your week, and hope to see you soon.